When I first picked up a camera, I remember somebody setting me a challenge to just use this 50mm lens on my camera for a whole month. It was a challenge that was to change the course of my photography for life and for the better. In this video, I want to share with you 5 reasons why I think the 50mm lens could be the best lens you ever put in your kit bag. And make sure that you stick around to the end, because I'll answer that ultimate question of whether the nifty 50 could be the only lens you ever need. On a recent trip to one of my favourite locations in Scotland, I decided to repeat this challenge of just using my 50mm lens. And the joy that I remember it bringing me at the time just came flooding back. The first reason I think that these nifty 50s are so good is that they really do live up to their name. They're super nifty. This lens dates back to the 1980s and was the first 50mm lens I ever bought, and it's so streamlined, so small and so light. Even the modern counterparts to these are much lighter than a lot of the modern zoom lenses that we carry around with us, meaning that if we are just to use a 50mm lens, it means more space in our kit bag or smaller kit bags, and also a lot less weight to carry around as well. The second reason why I love these nifty 50s is the speed of them. These lenses that I've got here both open their aperture as wide as f1.8, which is much wider than a lot of the zooms that you can buy. Not only does this give you access to sumptuous shallow depths of field and beautiful bokeh, but it also means that they perform really well in low light conditions because they let more light in, giving you access to better handheld shots. Again, saving you even more space and weight in your kit bag because you don't even necessarily need a tripod. The third reason I would recommend every photographer carry a 50mm lens round with them is probably the opposite of what you think when you think of prime or fixed focal length lenses, and it is versatility. There's a common misconception with prime lenses that they're made for specific types of photography, like portraiture or street photography. But when I was exploring Samoling, I was photographing pretty much everything that I usually would, from wide landscapes to little details, and the 50mm lens performed amazingly well. When you're physically moving yourself and the camera to zoom in and out, you soon notice that you get greater perspective on your shots, creating more depth. And you can even crop into close-up shots to create macro shots, because the build quality of these things is so good, you can still crop into your photographs while still maintaining a lot of detail. It's said that the 50mm lens is the equivalent focal length to the focal length of our human eyes. Now, whether that's true or not, I feel that just like we can look around at landscapes and close-ups and various other things with our physical eyes, then the 50mm can do all of those things as well, and potentially more. The fourth reason for me banging on about the 50mm lens is I just think it makes people more observant and more creative photographers. One of the things that makes people more observant or more creative is limitation. And when you've only got one focal length to think about, you have to rejig your perspective on the world ever so slightly. Instead of seeing the bigger picture, with a 50mm lens, you're forced to compromise and compartmentalise the world. What this has the effect of doing is it narrows our focus down, challenges us to think outside the box, and makes us experiment with different angles and perspectives. The closer we look and the more that we diversify our practice, the more we add to our photography knowledge kit bag, and that can only be a good thing. The fifth reason that these lenses are truly the bee's knees is price. They're often a lot cheaper than many of the other lenses that are out on the market, especially zoom lenses. To say that they're lightweight, easy to carry, fast, give you plenty of variation in types of photography that you can do, and that they challenge you to be a better photographer, I would say that they're pretty darn good value for money. I've included some links in the description below to some really affordable 50mm lenses from a lot of the most common camera manufacturers. So if you haven't yet got one of these in your kit bag, I strongly recommend you checking out those links, and you'll be amazed at how cost effective these things really are. So, is the 50mm lens the only lens you will ever need? No. I bet you're expecting me to say yes, weren't you? If you're a wildlife photographer or a sports photographer, then these lenses are definitely not for you, because you're going to need a telephoto lens that gives you the extra reach. I also think it's really important to experiment with different focal lengths. At the end of the day, we all see the world very differently, and like with everything in photography, our focal length is a personal choice. We choose it because it works for us. So the nifty 50 might not be everybody's first choice of lens, but I strongly recommend you doing the challenge that I did when I first started out in photography. Picking one of these up and just using it for a month. You'll be amazed at how much it changes your perspective and improves your observation and creativity skills. Once you've done that, you can experiment with other focal lengths and find the right one that suits your type of photography. I haven't used one of these in a while because I've come to the conclusion that my favourite focal length is around 35mm, which I tend to use now most of the time. But it's taken me that time and practice and experimentation with the 50mm lens to come to that conclusion. These things really are fantastic pieces of kit. So if you haven't got one, then check out those links in the description below and start experimenting today. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.